Hey guys, I'm just going to make a little bit of a vent after this whole debate. I went through the trouble of figuring out for the first time how to record something off of, I don't know, I think I was using a Hypercam 2 to try and record the debate because I was so excited that I would see Ron Paul just knock the ball out of the park and make everyone seem like a good old idiot. But anyway, that didn't happen because our mainstream media is completely retarded. So, one thing I wanted to note is Rick Perry going after Ron Paul for the letter that he wrote to Reagan, because everyone has to love Reagan, especially if you're a Republican. But at any rate, one thing I found was really weird is this video I'm just going to run through real quick. It was shots taken during the break of Rick Perry talking to Ron Paul during the break. And I'll just let that go while it's reading, or while I'm speaking. But yeah, it's I just wanted to take note on what was actually in the letter that Ron Paul wrote to Ronald Reagan. I actually think it's to the Republican Party, and pretty much what it says is every single thing that Ron Paul says today about how the Republicans have lost their way, and he wants to bring people back to more of a libertarian background. So anyway, I'm going to try not to bore you guys with this, but I really want to read this letter so that people understand that, considering Rick Perry was a flip-flopper just like Mitt Romney, I mean, we got, I really don't understand people. I mean, it's the, I don't know. I'm really frustrated because, one thing is MSNBC didn't want to talk about anything. Pretty much the only thing that they asked Ron Paul about is things that they could try and make him sound crazy about, and then, like they talked about, as Ron Paul said, they talked about everything about healthcare, and you'd think that Ron Paul, being a OBGYN, would have a little bit more clue, even still, because he was actually a doctor, about healthcare. And of course they didn't want to give him the time of day on that, but pretty much they just wanted to sit and try and make him sound loopy by trying to get rid of the TSA, and how if we're not protected by the government, pretty much we're incapable of doing anything right, and we might as well, just be having barcodes on our foreheads and told where to go to work and where to sleep and everything else. But not that I really want to get into that too much, but it seemed like another thing too that really surprised me about it is words like entitlement and Ben Bernanke being something as a a topic for the debate, and everything. I mean, things that one thing no one can deny, especially from the last three debates I've seen, is Ron Paul is really the one that's making people are starting to talk like him. And I'm not saying just like, it's word for word, things that he's saying, are becoming mainstream issues, but they don't ask Ron Paul about this stuff. They just, everything that Ron Paul could have gone on about for 3 days, and he's been saying the same thing for 30 years, were questions that they were asking them. And, pretty much, like I said, I recorded the whole thing, and I went through so much effort to record the whole thing because I was going to upload it to YouTube and say, yes, I have this. Now I'm thinking about shrinking it down and just making a pie graph showing like how little Ron Paul got to talk versus Mitt Romney or Rick Perry, and even Bachman and Kane and For some reason, I'm thinking John Huntsman was, got more time on debate questions than anybody else, which, as Jon Stewart says, he only got 68 votes in the Iowa straw poll. Why are they even paying that much attention to him? And, I know the majority of the comments on this is going to be, well, yeah, it's the mainstream media, what do you expect? But I don't know. I just can't believe it anymore. This is too obvious. And I wrote on a comment on the video that I uploaded earlier about a pre-debate poll that had Ron Paul in third. And after I put up the poll, I think almost 300 people saw my video beforehand, and it put Ron Paul from being in third to being over 4,000 votes ahead of Mitt Romney. So he went from 25% to like close to 50% of the votes cast, which was kind of a victory for me. I kind of helped with that, and whatever. You can check out that video in the link in my channel. But anyway, so yeah, we have Mr. Perry, making fun of Ron Paul, and he was, left the Republican Party, so he's just so not a worthy candidate. But considering, like I said, he was a Democrat before he was a Republican. Ron Paul never flipped that much, but the thing is I know a lot of top brand Democrats that support him too, and I think that's really what scares the hell out of everybody, is the fact that Ron Paul is someone that, if anyone looked into his background or looked into what he supports, I think that's the main reason that he has such a huge online following, is because of the fact that he has people that don't sit. I don't watch TV. I don't. The most TV I watch is I watch Mox News or whatever on YouTube, and because I go and find what I want to see. I don't just turn it on and eat whatever is on there. And I think that's the main reason that Ron Paul has such a huge internet following, is because of the fact that the internet is more of a freedom to watch what you want to watch, and people find information about Ron Paul, because if they went by what the media was, if they went by what just the media told them, Ron Paul would be under Johnson or whatever, with less than 1% of anyone looking at him. But anyway, if you don't like long drawn out parts, you might want to skip this. But I'm going to go ahead and read this letter, which Perry tried to slap Ron Paul with, and try to make him seem like it was such a horrible letter, saying that he was done. So Ron Paul writes, "As a lifelong Republican, it saddens me to have to write this letter. My parents believed in the Republican Party and its free enterprise philosophy, and that's the way I was brought up. At age 21 in 1956, I cast my first vote for Ike and the entire Republican slate. Because of frustration with the direction in which the country was going, I became a political activist, and I ran for U.S. Congress in 1974. Even with Watergate, my loyalty, optimism, and hope for the future were tied into the Republican Party and its message of free enterprise, limited government, and balanced budgets. Eventually, I was elected into the U.S. Congress 4 times as a Republican, and this permitted me a first-hand look at the inner workings of the U.S. Congress, seeing both the benefits and partisan frustrations that guide its shaky proceedings. I found that although representative government still exists, special interest control of the legislative process clearly presents a danger to our constitutional system of government." Needless to say, he uses big words. It hurts my eyes at 1 o'clock in the morning. Anyway, 2 o'clock. In 1976, I was impressed with Ronald Reagan's program, and I was one of 4 members of Congress who endorsed his candidacy. In 1980, unlike other Republican office holders in Texas, I again supported our president in his efforts. However, since 1981, I have gradually and steadily grown weary of the Republican Party's efforts to reduce the size of the federal government. Since then, Ronald Reagan and the Republican Party have given us skyrocketing deficits and astoundingly a doubled national debt. How is it that the party of balanced budgets, with control of the White House and the Senate, accumulated red ink greater than all previous administrations put together? Tip O'Neill, I'm not sure what that reference is, although part of the problem cannot alone be blamed. I'm assuming Tip O'Neill was some sort of bill. I don't know. I can wiki it later. You should wiki it. Do your own research. Tax revenues are up 59% since 1980 because our government's, and then he asked, because of our government's growth? No. During Carter's 4 years, we had a growth of 37.2%. Reagan's 5 years have given us 30.7%. And the new revenues are due to 4 giant Republican tax increases since 1981. All Republicans rightly. Oh boy, this is just too long. I don't think I can really do it in the amount of time to do this. But anyway, I think it's funny because he went on to say that, and I'm gonna copy and paste this and put it in the video description so you can read along with it or whatever you want to do. But you know, it looks to me like Ron Paul told them exactly what was wrong with the Republican Party back then. So how is it that Ron Paul is still saying the same message that all these other Tea Party people and everything else endorse, you know, try and press as being, oh yeah, he turned his back on the Republican Party and everything else. It's an absolute joke. So I don't know, I guess this is more of a rant. It's like my second political YouTube video. I plan on going crazy, and as you can tell, I really shouldn't read large articles because you know, it'll bore the living hell out of you. But you know, I signed up as a phone supporter. You know, I call for Ron Paul 3 hours a day. And it's really easy. Just go to his website and say, I want to volunteer. I mean, when I talk to people, it is unbelievable how little they know about Ron Paul. I mean, they just know that the media says that he's unelectable. That's it. All I have to do is just tell them, you know, I'm not going to take you through it, but a paragraph of information about him, and they're just up in arms, you know, to get their families involved and do everything else to get Ron Paul and everything to support them. So I would suggest you do the same. You know, if I'm laid off right now, I can't donate as much as I'd like to, and which I don't really think throwing money at something is really going to fix it. I mean, I think people really need to jump in and endorse this guy, and it's, instead of playing Nintendo or whatever for 4 hours when you get off of work, just sign up for 15 minutes a night. Just call somebody, call one person, and say, hey, I don't like Rick Perry, him sticking his finger in Ron Paul's nose, or looking like a drunken stepdad, which it's all scripted. You really do need to stay to the script. Don't go on any old tangents about 9/11 being a weird conversation, or one of those type of things that your typical grandma and grandpa won't understand. But I've decided, I mean, it's literally up to us. We're the oldie people that could get this done. If us as individuals don't step up and pull the weight for this campaign, the media is going to drown it out. So thank you very much for listening.